Now, the Young Turks proudly present a naked look at the party of family values, where GOP stands for and right to life takes a backseat to right to licentiousness. Republican Sexcapads, where real family values don't have a prayer. Republican Sexcapads. Hide the altar boys and cover the kiddies' ears. Here's today's edition of Republican Sexcapades with Cliff Schecter.
Cliff, great to have you with us again. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's, of course, the Young Turks with Cenk and Christy today. Christy's in D.C. at the Center for American Progress. He also runs MikeCheckRadio.org. Cliff, of course, is with BraveNewFilms.org. Cliff, you got some fun sex stories for us today. Of course, we start with a Republican senator and hookers. Lots of hookers.
Oh, Mr. Vitter. What can we say about Mr. Vitter? Apparently he's got quite a libido. Which is maybe why all the old men of the Senate gave him such a rousing ovation when he returned.
Rousing indeed. Can you stop there for a second? Cliff, tell people, because I don't think we ever discussed that on the show. When Vitter came back into the Senate, what did the senators do?
There was a mass kicking in of Viagra in that room. They all just stood up immediately and gave him a standing ovation, is what they did.
Look, Larry Craig gets caught in the bathroom, and they can't wait to kick his ass out the door, right? And that's because that's gay sex. That's unacceptable. Vitter is having, adultery, which I hear is actually mentioned in the Bible once or twice. In fact, several times more than any references to gay sex.
But that, with a stoning and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that sin, that abomination against God, that's a standing ovation. Yeah, here comes the hooker monger. Yeah, God bless.
Because when you've got a collection of pasty white, bald, old guys who, again, when they see Cialis commercials, they're hoping for the 4-hour erection. Vitter is as good as it gets, man.
See, these are the same guys that nearly, that impeached and nearly convicted President Clinton. How could they? Right. I mean, giving him a standing ovation? This is unbelievable. All right, so that was just when he was having sex with the D.C. madam. When they find out about the new hooker, man, they're going to go nuts. It's going to be like the State of the Union. They're going to be standing up and down every time Vitter comes in the room. I'm
thinking dinner and a show for this. It turns out that our good friend Larry Flint, of course, just came out with a report where he actually spoke with a woman who was a prostitute, but didn't just go and have a liaison with Mr. Vitter once. She had a 4-month relationship with him. She passed a lie detector test, so I'm sure they've ignored it so far. I'm sure as it gets out there more, they'll attack her. But according to what she says, and according to this lie detector test she passed, for 4 months or 5 months from July to November of 1999, they were engaged in a relationship. And the best part of all, of course, is the reason why he ended it. When she had a stage name of Leah, which is all he knew about her, which, was good enough to be having sex with her. But then he found out, when she told him her real name, which is Wendy, which also happens to be his wife's name. And apparently, being a sentimental guy that he is, that was the one bridge he couldn't cross.
I wonder if that was in their vows, their original vows. I will never sleep with a hooker with your same name, honey.
Exactly.
That's just so sweet. They have Hallmark cards for that thing.
Exactly. Stage names are cool. Once you have my wife's name, I don't know that I can do it anymore because I am a Bible-fearing, honest man. So.
Wait. He left the hooker after he found out she had the wrong name? Standing ovation for David Vitter. By the way,
what I like is... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're on the YoungTurks.com, we're putting up the picture of the other Wendy. And
compare and contrast Wendy's? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, and I got to tell you, the other Wendy's kind of sexy. I'm into it. I mean, not in that way, of course. I would never. But
you wouldn't pay for that kind of thing.
No, but she tried to turn it into a real relationship, which I found to be interesting. So maybe Senator Vitter's good. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she seemed to dig the guy. And,
she was going to give it for free. I mean, that's that I can get behind.
Yeah, I mean, and Vitter could get behind it too, apparently. But I'm sorry, I had to. But Vitter.
Oh wow! But also, wasn't Vitter visiting her like 2, 3, 4 times a week?
Yeah,
that's some stamina, man.
That's an important part of it. Is that they were getting together? She said 2 to 3 times a week, which is I think what made all these Republicans so proud of him. Because I mean, come on, imagine some of these guys like Pat Roberts. You think like more than once every 6 months? So let's not even answer that. But so I also enjoyed the fact that then. The last tryst, or no, I'm sorry, he started using Gene Palfrey's service beginning on October 12th, 1999. You'll notice just about after this relationship was over is when he started in with the D.C. Madam, and ending on February 27th, 2001, which was Mardi Gras. Got one last Mardi Gras pop in there, and then gone.
He doesn't even have a hooker gap. You know what I mean? It's just like straight hooker through.
Yeah, and there's some chance that he didn't leave this hooker because her name was Wendy. He left her because he got a new hooker in D.C. when he became a congressman. So
that actually, yeah. Looking at the records, that would be very tempting to think. But we'll have to see what he has to say. I'm interested eventually. I think he'll just try to ride. Well, he'll try to ride the whole thing out, of course, and not say anything.
I see
stop
you,
with the
Cliff.
bad puns, by the way.
Yeah, I see you. You think I don't see you? I see you. All right. Let me give a couple of quick details more on this, and then we got a gay love triangle for you among Republicans, of course. So, to be fair, now she is getting paid by Hustler for a photo spread, which now that I've seen her picture, I'm semi-interested in. And she's not getting the $1 million for outing Vitter because, remember, Larry Flint said if you know of a Republican hypocrite that's been cheating on his wife or having some sort of affair, illicit affair, I'll give you $1 million because I want to expose all the hypocrites in Congress that get into our personal lives and our family lives and our private lives and while they're doing this stuff. Because she came in a little late. She came in after the D.C. Madam thing had already been exposed, so she doesn't get the $1 million. So she has financial incentive, but the flip side to that is she did pass a lie detector test for whatever that's worth, and she does have an awful lot of details, and that brings me to point number 2. She says soon she will expose the details.
Right. Flint is going to come out with a whole list of the details, and that, we'll know more then, exactly. But I think the fact of the matter is she has these details. I think that'll explain itself. There's no reason not to believe her knowing what we already know about Vitter's behavior. And she did pass a lie detector test, which Vitter refuses to take himself. So I'm gonna go with her right now.
Yeah, I want to say, look, when some of the details they threatened, I got the sense were sexual details of what they did in their private lives, and I'm actually, believe it or not, going to draw the line on that. And I don't, because his hypocrisy is what's important here, and I got to be honest, I don't even want to know what he did with her.
I actually agree with you on that, Jenk. I mean, for me, the only important point is to know what he did in general.
Right.
Like, I literally don't need to know, like, we were started off in the missionary, and, I don't need any of that. I'm sure there's a bunch of Republicans that'll be reading that stuff late at night.
Yeah. Ken Starr will be doing a report on it.
Exactly. But I don't.
For free.
I agree with you. I don't need that as long as the truth, comes out, which it did here, which is that he had this affair with her. That's the important part to me, which is he was judging Bill Clinton. He was saying Bill Clinton should be impeached or resign. He was doing all of this stuff, and of course, this is how he was behaving during that entire. Because if you look back at the dates of impeachment and everything, well, we know at the very least, in 1999, this is when he was having this relationship with this woman.
And final word on that is that, they said, for Clinton, it wasn't the sex, it was that he was lying about it. In this case, David Vitter is lying about this. He says he did not sleep with the New Orleans hooker. He says, I just slept with the hookers in D.C., not the ones in New Orleans. And so, the Republicans might give him another standing ovation, but it's exactly what Bill Clinton did. The only difference is that we haven't stuck him in front of and put him under oath, so let's do it. Okay? Hey, a crime was this is a crime, right? It's not legal to sleep with a hooker. So, Henry, whoever needs to do it in the Senate, put him under oath. And let's see. Okay, what are you going to do? Let's put them in the same situation that they put Clinton.
Let's get the whole impeachment crew back together that all went after Bill Clinton with their pitchforks.
Exactly. And finally,
most of them haven't been outed already. Livingston, and not outed necessarily. I'm not saying on the gay side, but outed for not behaving in the manner in which, of course, they claim they do, from adulterous affairs to everything else. Let's get that whole crew of miscreants together, Gingrich and Livingston, and let them sit in judgment.
That's, I think, a good point. And I have a quick question. Is this what they mean by abstinence only, where you're not supposed to have sex until marriage? Does that mean that once you're married, you can just have sex with everybody and all the hookers and things?
My guess
I think we're onto something here.
I think we are. I think that's what it has to be. Abstinence only, except with hookers.
Right.
And preferably gay hookers.
Speaking of gay hookers, we got a story about that. By the way, just last note on Larry Flynt is that he's now saying, I've got another Republican senator that's gay that I'm going to out pretty soon. So you have that to look forward to. More on Republican Sexcapads in later weeks. But now we apparently also have a gay lovers triangle that might involve gay hookers and escorts. It doesn't even involve Jeff Gannon, who was on the show yesterday.
Remember, he wasn't gay.
No.
He wasn't an escort. Was he not? I don't know.
He said yesterday that he was gay, but not a gay escort, kind of. He didn't actually really answer the question. So, but anyway,
there's a little bit of toe tapping, but no Fred Astaire, is what you're saying.
I suppose so. So, what happened with these guys who were in the gay lovers triangle, who were all Republicans, Cliff?
Okay, and I will be careful here. I mean, I think often the mainstream media refuses to pick up things like this. This is so obviously a story. So I'm going to be careful here to talk about what's alleged and what we know. Okay. Because I don't want to mix the rumor and the fact. But what we have here. We have 3 Republicans found in a house in Orlando, Florida, in an apparent murder-suicide. David Abrami, Ralph Gonzalez, and Robert Drake are their names. Originally reported by a Florida newspaper, Florida Today, as a lover's quarrel, which was then scrubbed from their site. Wonder why. And they had been dead for several days when they were found. They identified Robert Drake as the shooter. Let's talk a little bit. David Abrami is not as important. He's a GOP consultant, but Ralph Gonzalez, the first guy, former head of the Georgia Republican Party, associate of Ralph Reed's, ran Congressman Tom Feeney's reelection campaign in 2002 in Florida. Most notoriously created a flyer in Alabama attacking the Democratic Party for being in favor of not Adam and Eve, but Adam and Steve. That was very creative, by the way.
Oh, that was that guy. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Can you believe he made that one up? So he's obviously a bright guy. And so he's one of the guys involved in this murder-suicide. Obviously, and he started a group, the Stratagem Group, I don't know. But it's the Strategery Group, why don't we call it that. It had a strong connection to the GOP. Okay? But Drake, this is where it becomes more interesting. All throughout blogs and even a few newspapers, I'm reading this from the North Carolina Conservative, not a liberal newspaper, even in its name. And if you read their website, they claim they are in favor of Judeo-Christian values, blah, 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 blah. So again, not a liberal newspaper trying to expose these guys. No pun intended, of course. In the case of the latter, Robert Drake, he worked on campaigns for one Congressman Patrick McHenry, may be familiar with, and was an associate of his. Now, there have been rumors swirling about Patrick McHenry's sexuality forever. I'm not going to go into them. I'm sure everybody can guess what they are. Patrick McHenry, one of his aides, was busted a couple years ago in a was not a vote buying scandal, but for voting in 2 different districts. The address that he had on his voter registration was that of Patrick McHenry. 2 other aides, same thing in terms of their addresses. So this guy's living with a bunch of young guys. Take that for what you will. But Drake, going back to, and I know, I'm sorry, this makes your head explode. Going back to the lovers triangle here, Drake, who supposedly is the shooter, has been written about a number of places, but is involved with a gay escort service in the Virginia Beach area. And what's been reported, and again, this is alleged, so I'm not saying this is fact, that he went to hit up Ralph Gonzalez, the guy who's the former head of the Georgia Republican Party, for money because one gay escort service apparently killed a guy in another gay escort service, and one of their guys was being tried, and they needed money to defend him. So they're getting all Don Corleone on each other's asses here over gay escort service. So
basically, if you don't give us money to help this other guy, we're going to out all the gay Republicans in the state.
That's exactly it. There's supposed to be an extensive list of Republicans using this gay escort service. He threatens to out them. and somehow all three of these guys end up dead. A lot of this was reported on crimeblog.us, which is another solid site. And I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything here because there's just so much to the story.
I know,
but quickly that Howie Klein, who's an intrepid blogger that he is, called Patrick McHenry's office and asked them if they knew Drake. First, they denied it, and then he kept giving them details of his quote unquote relationship with Drake. Then they admitted that the congressman knew Drake, and then they just refused to comment after that and refused to put Congressman McHenry on the phone.
All right, we got to take the break. Just going on, I don't know, is there any Republicans left in Florida who are not gay? I don't know. Mark Foley, Bob Allen, the guy who ran, McCain's campaign down there. There's a couple of other allegations. There's this now. It's unbelievable.